Hey, it's 9 o'clock. It's time for you to see me struggling with technical issues. This time, slightly different technical issues. If anyone's watching, maybe you can give me a hand. That's right. I seem to have a frying computer. Look at this. What is going on? Anyone know what this is all about? Good, my computer's about to explode. Set this down. Yeah, I mean, I'm really struggling here. My CPU usage is up at 70%. Normally it would just tick along at like 20. But it's OBS Streamlabs. It's absolutely rocking it. Nothing else is really pushing it that far. Oh my goodness, honestly. I was just saying this weekend I might just take the plunge and move completely over to like Ubuntu or Java or something. Well, look, it's down at 50 now. What's going on? Okay, well, it feels a bit better. I mean, it really was struggling before. It's just the power usage is so huge. Let me just check the old GeForce settings. Even the computer feels a bit sluggish. What can I do here? Quality. Let's focus on performance, please. In fact, let's focus on balanced. If that's going to make any difference. I don't know why it's using like 3D stuff for rendering my desktop and OBS. Okay. You know what it might be? I plugged my second monitor into my onboard graphics, so I don't know whether that's causing an issue. Anyway, seem to be a little bit better. Just the power usage looks a bit worrying. Streamlabs is like just tanking it. Well, I've got a fairly decent CPU, so anyway. Okay. Well, some very exciting developments on 1-Bit Godot's channel today. I'm going to need to rewind and check it because I have to walk the dog and then get the stream ready. But there was some awesome developments going on there. In other news, there's some awesome developments elsewhere as well. Oh dear, I'm just seeing that Streamlabs is telling me that it's skipping frames. Oh jeez. It's not going to let me change my encoder settings on the fly, I don't think. Seems to be alright now. I wonder if I'm running out of disk space or something. Let's have a quick look. It's weird issues. And these are all storage, so I don't know. Anywho, alright. I better run this just in case, though. I was just checking to see if something was going to explode. Keep this ticking away in the background. Seems like reasonable temperatures. I'm still getting skips. If it's bad, please type in the chat and let me know. All right. So, okay. Right. So, Steph messaged me today and told me that she's having a rethink on the storyline. The reason being that maybe we're biting off a little bit more than we can chew too quickly, too early. And we want to rein it back a little bit. Make sure that our unnamed audio adventure, is just a proof of concept at first, and then we're going to scale it up and see how it works from there. So let's see, storyline materials. Is it this one here? No, it's not that one there. Hang on, let's have a look. I've got the message here. Ooh. Cool. Right. Proof of concept story. All right, let's have a look. Proof of concept. Story. Here we go. Here it is. All right. I think we're gonna change the music for this. Let's go for something beautiful. Okay, here we go. Comedy sci-fi. Okay, hold on, I've got the wrong tune here. I'm not sure what we're gonna have. We'll have something serious in the background. I like the sound of this already. Right, okay. Oh, cool. Oh, nice. Excellent. Based on a brief history of time travel by S.G. Mark. What a cool idea. All right. I'm loving this. Hey, One Bit. How's it going? Oh, man. Honestly, I can't wait to see that engine, dude. That is so cool. What was the name of the engine you're supporting with this rewrite? I'm going to go back and have a reread and look into it. It's just interesting to see how that pans out. Let's zoom in a bit here. Get this on its true glory. So, high-level summary. Self-contained story set after the main events of the novel, A Brief History of Time Travel. It features many returning characters. Using a unique set of abilities, the player is tasked with freeing someone from the grasps of Time Core, bureaucratic agency in charge of the time travel network on Earth. Sweet. Alright, cool. Setting. In the same universe as the book takes place, time travel is used by the public in the future, but controlled by the Time Core, and major events overseen by the Committee.
Audrey.
No, the other one. The one that you just started on, right at the end of your stream, when I walked the dog. Time travel is used by the public. Okay, the Committee for who? A range of reasons that could have been resolved in a few therapy sessions, were after protagonist Morrow Sandoval. Time travel before 2146 is only granted on special visa permission by the Time Corps under exceptional circumstances. The only Time Corps agents are allowed to travel backwards from this date in line with any investigation needed to capture time travelers not adhering to the strict rules of time travel. So, so you've got to be careful. There's rules around time travel if you're going to use it publicly. And you need a visa.
GoPor.
GoPor. Well, let me just have a quick check. GoPor. GoPor. Good old Por. So is it yours going to be a God Por, like Godot Por? Cool. Right, I'm going to have a look at that. Sweet. It's very cool. I don't know if I've played a GoPor game, but I will find out. Probably. It's text adventure games. Right, so player character is Morrow Sandoval. As discovered in the book, Morrow was the vessel in which time, an entity bored with time travel, took refuge in to live a more relaxed lifestyle. They are now permanently linked together with time, constant, annoying presence. They regularly have arguments with each other, and as no one else can hear or see time, it leads to a few hilariously awkward moments. Special ability. With time, Morrow can travel to any when, Without the need for equipment or to use the time travel network, he's the only person with this unique ability. Ooh, cool. Time, supporting character.
The original is poor, my one is go poor.
Ah, right, okay, gotcha. Right, so that's... Right, gotcha. Whoa.
Professional adventure writer.
Ah, professional adventure writer. Right, cool. Nice. Alright, I shall have a look at this. Looks familiar. Oh, it's ZX Spectrum, yeah. Okay, well, definitely played with it then. Oh, it's a construction kit. Ah, okay, then I don't think I have used it then. Cool. Wow. Right, okay, gotcha. Very cool. Right, supporting character is Time. Time, him or herself. Time, bored with exploring the universe. Time sought to take a vacation, live out an extraordinarily dull life inside Morrow Sandoval. This did not go to plan, and following the conclusion of the book, they've been travelling around together in search of something to do. Nice. Special ability. Time can make Morrow move forward or backwards in time, though cannot move his location. He may take... Oh, Steph, honestly, you're killing me. How am I gonna do this? Right, one bit Godot. I've got to rethink my concept of location to now time as well. So location changes given the time. That's interesting, actually. So you could create 3 different maps, all in different times, and you can interact with those maps. But it's like a mirror image. So yeah, I've already thought how we could do it. That's pretty cool. Out of that kit. Nice. I'm still skipping frames, so let me know if my PC's... It's really not happy at the moment. I'm not sure why. Oh, yeah. What's this? Hello? Hello! Hi. It's Steph. She is communicating with us from the world of Google. So, special ability. Time can make Morrow move forward or backwards in time. Oh, time can make Morrow move backwards or forwards in time, but cannot move his location. He may take Morrow anywhen at any moment and refuses to explain himself. Nice. Right, brilliant. Okay. Vala, supporting character. So, great. So this means already that we can do all sorts of fun with time and different areas. Supporting character. Vala's history remains somewhat of a mystery. In the books, it is revealed that she is not only an irritating love interest, but there are far too many of her. Though they all look identical, each Vala is the embodiment of space, who's been chasing after time for a while. Every choice made that alters the course of history, a new Vala is born. Although most of her knowledge is shared with each other, any moments following her birth are limited to that
The
Vala
stream
only.
seems to be delayed about a minute.
Right, yeah, it's pretty bad. It's I think it's just my CPU is like having a fit. I'm just gonna bring this up so I can just keep an eye on it. Wow, it's like it was at 100% for a second there. Just bring that up there so I can see. Okay, let's keep an eye out and see what's doing it. I wonder if I like stop the VLC player, as if that's like taking up all my CPU. According to OBS, it's only using 27% of my CPU, which is correct. So what else is taking up CPU? Desktop Windows Manager, other Streamlabs. And look at those GPU1 3D. I think that for some reason, OBS Labs is using my 3D card rather than the CPU. Don't know if that's what's causing the problem, but yeah, it's not good. Come back to it anyway. Try and fix it after the stream. So, okay, so Vala is essentially the embodiment of space, chasing around after time. Every choice made that alters the course of history, new Vala is born. Although her knowledge is shared with each other, any moments following her birth are limited to that Vala only. There are therefore millions of Valas. However, or is it Valas? No, it sounds really cool. It sounds really cool. You've got a premise here, and I'm sure you will be able to build it up. Yeah, very cool. Right, okay. There are therefore millions of Valas. However, as only a few of them have stolen time travel devices, they are scattered throughout the ages of the universe. They are mortal, can be killed as easily as any normal living thing. Special ability. When Vala time travels, she also travels in space. So that's my dog. She also travels in space like Morrow, but she needs to have a working time device. Cool. If she is near Morrow when he time travels, he is displaced randomly in space, meaning he could end up in the right time zone, but the wrong location. Right, yes, that is sounding complicated. Unique game features. Player will have the ability to travel through time, and sometimes space, in order to solve problems to complete the game. Examples. Items required to complete a puzzle may be located across multiple time zones. Is time zone the right word? Sure it is. But yes, multiple times. Player will have to analyze NPC schedules to navigate their way through time and avoid being seen. Interesting. Players will have to make use of a Vala to travel through space to progress to the next level or complete a puzzle. You may summon a Vala if required to leave a location by leaving a message for her in one time zone and skipping to another to see if she's got it. Wow. Okay, you're blowing my mind here. This is sounding pretty cool. All right. Time zones. Through the use of time travel. Though the use of time travel could have infinite capabilities, the game will be restricted in its use. There will be a set limit of time zones available at each location. Each location may have a couple of sub-areas, such as rooms or open spaces, that can be accessed. For example, location 1 may be a house with a bedroom, kitchen, living room, and a garden. Time travel can be used at any one of these locations, but access to them has to be within one time zone, i.e., in 1974, you can be in the garden and go into the kitchen. Then travel to 1994 and still be in the kitchen before moving to the living room. And time travel into 2004 and still be in the living room. NPCs will be in each location with schedules and activities they are doing. These NPCs may need to be avoided or interacted with in order to solve puzzles. Puzzle 1. All right, here we go. Examples. Wow, blooming heck, you've thought hard about this quick. Jeez. Right. I only talked to you just after lunch. If you are trying to evade some guards to enter a room, you'll have to learn their patterns in order not to be spotted. Should you arrive in a time... See, this is tricky, because how do you learn their patterns if you can't see them? You can only really sort of hear them. Interesting. Maybe you have to have like a disguise or something. Should you arrive in a time zone and be spotted, they may shoot you, in which case you will need to restart, or if you manage to time travel before that happens, they may remember you, and you will have to choose another time zone. Ah, I see. You may return to the same time zone you've just been at, but you maybe see a previous version of yourself there as well. Too many Morrows in one location will immediately alert the guards. That's cool. Oh my god. Wow, that's cool. I love that idea. So wait, so time isn't just like 3 locations, it's an actual time in the game because we're using time. So you could type in the time you want to go to. Right, I'm going to 12:01. And then you do something, you're like, God, I messed it up. So you're like, right, I got to 11:59. And now you've got you messing it up, but maybe that helps. I don't know. Or maybe you get yourself killed in order to get yourself past something. Okay. You may return to the same time zone you've just been at, but you may see a previous version of yourself there as well. Too many Morrows in one location immediately alert the guards. Okay. I think even one Morrows in a location will probably alert the guards, right? Too many Morrows in one location. Let them all come. It'd be hilarious. This could be very entertaining. There may be multiple ways to get past the guards, e.g. leave a winning lottery ticket lying around for one of them to find. The next day, that guard will have quit, and there'll be one less guard to evade, which will be easier. Spook one of the guards. Spook one of the guards by taking things from their desk in one time zone and leaving them somewhere else in another time zone to freak them out. They'll quit in fear. Give one of the guards food poisoning. Skip ahead 4 hours. They'll have gone home sick. You better get past. Simplicity. Though time travel comes into it, there will be limitations on locations and time at each stage. To an extent, there will be free travel to places you have already been, and new locations will be accessible when an event is triggered, either by accessing a new time zone at a location. These restrictions should be added in as naturally as possible so as not to crush the illusion of player freedom and agency. Okay, cool. Modular build. Each level will be built independently of each other to avoid overlap with time travel nonsense. When you arrive at a location, time will advise the best time zones that might help you. This will limit what is available to the player in any given location through the use of the time character and his personality. It will mean that the restrictions to player movement will be more natural. Previous locations may be accessed, unless for story or complexity reasons they need to be shut off. Gameplay. Wow, what's that? Right, gameplay. Players will need to use in-game knowledge to solve puzzles and advance the game to the next level. They will encounter NPCs they need to interact with or avoid, use objects, or alter the course of history by modifying something in a time zone. Throughout the game, time will interject with complaints on how you are managing a puzzle. If you try to do something that will have no effect, he might criticize your thought process or just complain that you're an idiot. The player will be able to interact with time and talk to him. Super. If we want to make this really easy stuff, then we just need to like have 2 voice actors, you and me, and we'll just or you and your man. He's got a good voice. I'm assuming that he did some of the recordings and the other stuff. Anyway, right, storyline. High level. Morrow and Time enjoying some much-needed quiet after a period of adventuring when Violet interrupts them and asks for their help. She says that someone close to her has been taken by Time Core and Morrow needs to rescue him. It is revealed that Violet's newborn child has been taken. Oh. This then triggers the first level of the game, and the remainder of the game is the player trying to rescue the baby from the evil pencil-pushing clutches of the committee. Pencil-pushing clutches. The board overseeing the entire history of Earth. Cool, nice to have ideas. Instead of dying, Time takes you to a random prehistoric time zone where you might hear some dinosaurs. Early man? In the book, time travel is fixed to a location, including elevation. So if Morrow travels from a skyscraper in 2010 that doesn't exist in 1980, then he's got a long way to fall. Something similar could be applied when choosing the wrong time zone to travel to in-game. Cool, yep. Nice. It sounds absolutely awesome. I think we can have a lot of fun with this. I don't think you've made it... I think you've increased the complexity scope exponentially, but in a really cool way that adds a whole new level of... a whole new dynamic to the way the game could work. So, yeah, it sounds fantastic. Plus, I love comedy sci-fi. It'll be comedy, sci-fi, fantasy. I mean, depending on the time zone you're in, it'll be whatever you like, can't it? Brilliant. Awesome. Where to start? That sounds fab. I think what we should do is like set aside a time to just go and have a play with it. We'll like set up a location, and we need a time machine. So let's have a look at my... Where is it? All right. Okay. So I've got a new keyboard here. I'm going to struggle with it a bit here, so my typing might be a bit rubbish from now on. Okay, so we're going to scrap all this then. No more additions. No more TV channels. Boo! I love my TV channels. Okay. To-do list. Oh, I did that. Nice. To switch levels. Okay, right. So this is interesting. So this becomes like a really important thing. So,
Watch out!
oops, in time. So, what else? Wow, it adds a whole new level to it, doesn't it? Because if our characters are, you know, within a given time, then how do we do this? Do we have like, I suppose we have to have like I don't know. It depends on the dynamic of like how you jump through time. I mean, for example, if we said, right, we've got like 1990, let's say we had like 1960, and then 2020, we had like, we're in a house, maybe the family lives there at this point, but at this point, I don't know, I mean, I'm thinking of like generational, but your NPC probably might not exist at this point, so, you know, family moved on, or are elderly or something, I don't know. And then and then of course you go like back to like 1000 or like 200. Anyway, I'll leave that stuff to you, Steph, but of course it does ask some big questions on how the game would work. It's hard enough just getting our NPCs walking around doing what they are doing in a single world at the moment. What we're talking about here is kind of creating like multiple instances of a world. It seems like, yeah, we'd have to have some sort of restriction, like you say, on so we'd have to have like, okay, it would only be between X and Y for some reason, whatever that reason is, and at least that way we can say, okay, maybe there's like 3 levels of time. So we have I don't know, we have like 30 years here, and then another 30 years here, and these major changes happen over these 30 years. And so if they move into any of these time periods separated by 30 years, then we change the location slightly and things move and the NPCs have different behaviors or whatever, or it's different people. So as you switch between them, so what I'm saying is that would be like 3 versions of the living room. Yeah, and so on, with 3 versions of NPC 1, 2, and 3, NPC 4 living on his Todd, NPC 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, or whatever. And so you have these different people playing it. There's I don't know if you ever played it, Steph, but there's a game. It was, what is it? Day of the Tentacle. You ever play that one? A classic, if ever there was one. But there's some similar sort of puzzling there, in that you're trying to do things back in the day to affect things in the future, and it's all related to this one house. So everything's basically set in the house, regardless of time. But there's just 3. I think there's just 3 time zones, right? There's I can't remember how many there are. Let's have a look. They time travel extensively. How did they do it? Oh, I suppose I just have to play it. But yeah, that was a favourite back in the day. I remember completing it vaguely. I can't remember what happened there. I just remember, like, the middle of it, just spending weeks and weeks and weeks. I had it at my office where I
Maybe you
worked.
need to use an item to time jump. For example, if there is a photograph, you can only time jump to when the photo was taken. This can limit how far you can jump.
Yeah, well, Steph's got a book on this one bit that kind of sets out all these sort of rules. So yeah, we'd need to have some sort of element to potentially help manage this stuff, but we shall talk about it in another video. So this is where I'm up to right now, Steph, if you're still watching. Let's see if it still works. Let's turn that down. Whew. All right, here we are. There's Graham the cat. Graham is ignoring me, as usual. Leave Graham in peace. You can stroke him, though, if you want. Let's see, AI. AI is on the move. AI is probably on his way up to R&D for some reason. No, actually, I think AI just hangs around. There's the kitty cat. The kitty cat will not follow us to R&D. And here's Bob. And all Bob does is he just goes into the toilet and then goes into R&D. Oh, Graham's followed us here. Okay. And there's Bob. Graham may occasionally go in the toilet. Maybe poke Graham. That's really good. We need cat noises for Graham. So that was one thing I wanted to do tonight. Real quick on our code base. Let's have a look now. Where is it? Here it be. So oh yeah. Yeah, I was looking at getting this stuff working. I wanted to get NPC interaction. I wanted to get location audio. So if a character says something based on the location they're in, player arrives, so player addressing you because they've arrived in that scene. Movement lines, so if the NPC is just moving around, and idle lines if the NPC is just sitting there doing nothing. So I wanted to create a system for managing a character's behavior in a given location, and I'm only doing half an hour on this, so it's going to be a bit of a brain dump. So I want to be able to do that on a per character setup. So we've defined the schedule for a character based on static, sequential, or random movement. We haven't tested this yet, but Bob should find their way back to R&D. Ooh, no, wait a minute. Bob may already be in R&D. Bob should find his way back to the living area.
Watch out!
Whoops. Oh, man. I really need to get used to this keyboard. It's like the F4 key.
Watch out!
So, yeah, so his path back to quarters. We might have to have like some sort of behavior as well. This is more pathing than anything else. Maybe what we do is we define a behavior here. To override a given behavior. They do certain things. I'm not sure yet. This is very much based on what we wanted for the other game, in that it was like this area that you worked in. So I'm not sure. Anyway, come back to it. Oh, right. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to test current to see if that works. So who is this? This is Graham. Okay, so I'm going to get Graham the cat to move very fast. It'll move exceedingly fast. I might even crash it. We'll see. So here we'll go straight to R&D. And then, you know what? Yeah, that'll do. Right, so 5:31. So I'm going to change the time. I'm going to change the time to... I don't know if this is going to work. $5:31, sorry. Right, see if that works. Oh, right, we never even got to 8 o'clock. So Graham is already in the living area. So that's not going to work. You know what? That's just daft. What I will do is just see if that path finds to R&D. 1 second, and oops. Man, new keyboards. It's going to take me ages to get used to this. I'm going to get syntax errors all over the place as I tap the wrong keys. All right. It's going to go flying off any second now. There he goes. He'll be past the lift. He'll be up the second floor. He'll be outside now. It should be here. Good stuff. Right, cool. So I was just testing there that current was working. So it doesn't matter what your position is, move to R&D. So that means we can now have him moving around the, so we can set like this. We can set it to random movement here. We can have Graham moving around at any of these locations. Hopefully it won't crash. Just set this to like 4 seconds. Be a lot of footsteps, unfortunately. In fact, you know what? I'm just gonna. We can't. That's another thing we need to do is like be able to change the audio based on characters. So I'm just gonna hit 8 o'clock. Oh, there he goes. Maybe it's again, and he's off. Yeah. Cool. All right, that's working. Happy days. All right. So what sort of behavior do we want? So we want, I'm just going to take some notes here. We want some locational audio. We want greetings. We'll call it player greetings. We want movement audio. That is going somewhere else. So could that be based on a given exit? i.e., I'm going to the toilet. Back in a minute. You know, we could have them do that sort of thing. Idle lines. So idle audio. Would that be the same as locational? No. Idle would be the NPC is not doing anything.
This is me, the author, having just watched 30 minutes of the wrong live stream.
Oh no! What? Whose live stream are you watching? Don't know. You might have been watching the right live stream. I don't know how you were communicating with me when you were watching the wrong one. Because you were typing to me at the same time. Oh, something smells nice. Someone's cooking something.
I am 31 minutes behind. It's like true time at travel.
Never mind. You can always rewind. in general, though, it's a cool idea. It's complicated, and we've got some ideas. One bit's got some ideas as well, but just on how that would work, I think we'd need to have a bit of back and forth on how to implement something like it, because on a technical level, it's kind of like mapping the elements of the game and to make something that's usable within the context of the story. So anyway, we'll come back to it. I started talking about that stuff in the stream 20 minutes ago, but I think we'll talk about it the weekend if you're around. It's an awesome idea. What else do we want? We want NPC interaction. We want them to talk to each other, potentially. Right. Okay. Well, now that sounds pretty complicated. So I guess there's no point in creating all these right now. I'm not trying to facilitate like every single possible way this game could work. But I would like to get some key things working. So locational audio, player greeting would be good. So it doesn't even need to be a player greeting. It could be, or we could just call it player enters, right? This could be just background. Something like that. Yeah, and probably an NPC idle. So NPC idle would be a set of random things NPC will say when twiddling thumbs. Right? Nothing better to do. They'll just be like, "Oh, I think that thing's on TV tonight," or what shall I have for dinner? Whatever. Anyway, they're just talking to themselves. Location audio is a set of random things an NPC will say, but only in that location, right? So that would be, it might even be a looping audio, but it is something they will be doing in that location. So maybe an NPC is like typing away, tap, 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 muttering to themselves. It is the audio that NPC does. Could be random, could be just one thing. I like the idea of being a random set. It just can't be too repetitive. So I'll look out for repetition there, because it could get irritating. And player enters is also a set of random things. An NPC will say when the player enters. But just to make sure, we might have the NPC ignore them, so they only ever say the greeting once. Then we could clear that flag. So I think that's what we want to do. So we want to create sets. So, and we want to associate this with each character. So we've got load schedule
Hello.
at the moment. Hey, Shaun, how's it going? I'm struggling a bit with the stream today, Shaun, just due to an overload of my card. I don't know if you know anything about this, mate, but where is it? Look at this. So it's a lot better than it was. I was getting 100% CPU, but it's still pretty bad compared to normal. Don't know what's going on. Anyway, I'm going to jump on Discord after this. If anyone can give me a hand with this, that'd be great. Okay, so things an NPC will say when twiddling their thumbs. So I'm going to start with player enters. So I'm going to go for Graham, the cat. We could do it on NPC enters as well, right? Either way, it doesn't make any difference as long as they suddenly interact. So let's do. So that's our pussycat saying hello. Brilliant. Sounds just like the real thing. Okay, let's put that in. So, oops. Export OGG and
I am good, thank you. Finally a stream about stuff I can understand.
well, this one. Oh, right, I see. Cool. Thanks, man. Yep. There's a few of these streams about stuff you can understand. I mean, if you go back to stream 1, I was trying to understand it in the first place. So it's taken a while. It's taken us, 44 streams to get to where I am. Where's my Godot folder? I'm sure I created one. There it is. Projects, Audio. And will it come onto dialogues? I guess not. Maybe it will. No, audio. So we'll create a new folder called character.
Watch out!
Ah! Stupid keyboard. I pressed the caps lock. The trouble is I've got one of these like Logitech keyboards, and I forgot actually why I stopped using a Logitech keyboard. It's got all these G keys along the side, and so my little finger seeks like the shift and the control button, and it goes, oh yeah, it's just the far left button. And of course then I go,
Hey, listen! Watch out!
and hit all these stupid binds I've got. Right, so this will be character Graham. And so we will call this player enter 1. Then we could just have the same file names for all these type of things. What else would a cat say when you walk in the room? Any ideas? Nothing, probably. Oh, meow. Yeah, of course. Meow. There we go. Obviously. It's been a while since I had a cat. Meow. Right, brilliant cat. Okay. All right. So we've got 2 random things that the cat might say. All right. Okay. So first thing we need to do then is create some sort of storage for this against our character. Now, since characters are always going to be... this is the script. Do I want to do it in the character? I think I do. I think I do want to do it in this sort of... So we'll just load schedule. I kind of want to load everything about the character at this point. But I'll just, for now, I'll have... oh God, one bit. How am I going to store this? So this is player enters a set of random things. I wonder if I should just have like just check for the files, see if they exist, rather than having to like code it all up. This is a set. This is a set. This is a set. We'll just erase. Okay, and we'll just call it player enters. It's an array. And we've got location audio, but that's not an array. That's going to be more like the schedule. So still do it the same way, and then NPC idle. Okay, so I'm going to just cue these all up with audio. Audio player enters, audio location. I'm going to call it just NPC enters. NPC location. NPC idle. Alright, cool. And now I'm just going to load all these up in one load audio. And I suppose I'll do something similar to this. So, we're going to have a set of file names. What we have? NPC enters. NPC enters is just a flat array. So, oops, oh man. So NPC enters is just going to be like an array of file names. So that is exactly what we just done for Graham. So let's go for audio, character, Graham. I don't know whether we want to define these. They're always going to be the same. Just do that for now though. All right, let's just get one working first. Super. Okay. So I don't think we need to do this, do we? We've declared Graham, we do, yeah. Otherwise, we need to create a configurable setting here. It could work actually. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe move all this stuff. I'll move all this stuff to the character itself rather than this scripting thing. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay. So these are all describing our character and the way they work. So we're going to export an array. Of NPC enters. We'll do the same for idle. Oops. So get rid of that. This one is going to be locations and a set of audio for that location. So similar sort of thing. So it's going to look more like this. Graham. So we'll have something like location name, and that will be an array. Can we do that? Hasn't crashed. So it'll be a list of locations. Man, we want it to be like this. We want it to be like living room. There's the key. And then audio 1, audio 2, audio 3, etc. So what's that going to be? Yeah, that is going to be that format. we need to be able to add other locations, but that's pretty much it, right? So how do I define that so I can change this string? What do I do with verbs? Verbs. It's no good. Not sure how to do this one. I feel like I actually want to put this in the script after all. It's easier to define it there. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Okay. Going back into the script. Okay, so, oops. Okay, we can't export on this type of script, I don't think. Because you can't click on it. So this needs to be a var. And then we just define it. And this needs to be a var, and then we just define it. And then this, we've got our format. So this could be a living area. Oops. Living area. And then he will say the following things. Meow. Scratch. Tiny. Bump. And what sounds do cats make when they're just on their own? That'll do. Right, so those are sounds he'll make when he's in the living room. But he won't make them anywhere else. That's the idea. So we could have another one. Yeah, so comma there. So it's an array of dictionary values. Cool. So the other place could be R&D. What will he say at R&D? He'll type. Very clever cat. And that's all he'll do. What else might we want to say about audio for a given location? We might want to say how often the audio plays. Oh God. There's all sorts of things we might want to control, but I'll worry about that later. So, done it again. Oh man. Okay, so I'm going to move that array here. Here. So we don't need to load audio. We can just check this script straight away. Probably didn't even need to do this anyway, but oh, of course, yeah, because load schedule. This changes. This can change, so well, maybe it won't. Anyway, right, so I can get rid of this. I'll move all this up to the top, comment it out, and there we go. Okay, let's get our cat making some noises. So, oops, still running. Okay, so this is when NPC enters the room. So we're only going to play these noises when an NPC moves into a given location, and that location has to have the player in. So we have got a move function for our player. There it is. And we actually do a check. Check if current location is player's current location. If so, play the arrival audio. Okay, so they might play the arrival audio. This brings us to one of the key issues that I wanted to handle, and that was making sure that when we're playing things like transitions and NPC audio, we don't overlap them too much in case things go a bit crazy. So we kind of want to wait for the transition to finish, the footsteps, before they say something. We don't want them to say hello as you hear the lift coming down, then the doors open, and and they don't say anything. That'd just be weird. So there's got to be a check to make sure that any sort of this particular audio will only play after a transition occurs. How do we do that then? Well, we've got play MPC transition as a function. So let's have a look at that function. Oh, it's part of the audio controller object. Let's have a look at that. There it is. So play MPC transition, loads the sound up, cues the sound, plays it, and it yields. It sets up a timer. So what I'd like...
Going to head off, but we'll be around for a chat about the game or whatever else after your stream.
Cool, Shaun. See you, man. Take it easy. So we want a signal here to say that it's finished. At the moment, we are playing a signal. We're doing a timeout. The purpose of the timeout is to wait before we get rid of these objects. So this is where I always struggle. Signals, we want to generate a signal. So here I need to say, no, because we're going to play it. We want the player here to decide whether or not it's going to play audio. So make decision if NPC should greet player, right? But we don't want to play that sound until after this sound is made. So how do we check it elsewhere? Man. Okay. I think I know what to do without using signals. What do I? Jeez. It's like we need to cue it to play later rather than playing it now. All right, I've got an idea. Right. This has a time. Stream.get length, right? That's how long it's going to take for this to finish. But if we've got a yield here, then it won't finish. A yield is like almost like a pause, right? It'll stop. And it won't finish this off until this is finished. So the game will carry on elsewhere. And this audio will carry on. So if we knew at this point, that we needed to play a greeting, then this would be the place to play it. Right here. But the whole point of this function, this audio controller, you don't really want it to look at where NPCs are, whether they should be saying anything. We just want this to be utility functions. I need one bit to the rescue. I'm tempted to just shove a bit of code in here that says if NPC is supposed to say something, then, and then we just pass it in here. Oh, there's a signal. MPC transition finished. Am I using that? No. Right. Okay. That's interesting. Though at this point we don't know whether the the NPCs entered or left. Oh, we do if they pass in the fade function. And we stopped using the fade, didn't we? This would be fade out. This would be fade in. Have we got enough code to break it here or not? See if the transitions audio is working. Wow, that's very silent. Kind of hear it. I like it. It's so subtle. It's a bit too subtle. So if we do that, then we know if our transition is, out. If we pass that in, then in our audio controller here, we could have a MPC signal transition in finished. Or in fact, MPC transition finished, yeah. And MPC out finished. Two different signals. So we need to send these out and connect them up to things. So we want to connect this one up. Okay. I'm not going to manage to do this without some docs. Connecting signals. Godot. GD script. I always make it look so easy in the scripts, and then
Caught up. I was watching live stream for the 18th of May. I am an idiot.
I hope it's a good one. 18th of May. How long ago is that? Wow, that's an old one. Whole 2 days old. 3 days. Come to Discord if you want for a chat. By all means, Steph. We can have a chat about it if you like, or we can do it the weekend. Either or. I don't know if I'll be streaming at the weekend. I think I might just be streaming. There we go. I am in Discord. Streaming Monday to Friday. Explain to me how to use signals. I don't know how to use them. Go toot. Let's try this. I hate learning stuff through videos. Sadly, he says, creating a video, attempting to help people with video. Right, so I've created a custom signal. Oh, you can add arguments as well. That's cool. These signals will appear in the Signals tab of the node. So I have added these signals here in Audio Controller. And there's Audio Controller, and here's the node. There it is. Cool. All right. Fabulous. In order to emit the signal, you need to use the emit signal keyword. Okay, so easy peasy. So we're going to call this on play NPC transition. If it's in, we want to do this here as well. So if fade to lower equals in, then we are going to play the transition in signal. And if it's out, I'll play the out signal. And it's the out we want to hook to for our meow. What's next? Now we need to connect the signal up, right? Connect the signal via the editor. Double click the signal, blah, 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 blah. Right, okay, cool. So now the only question is who, anyway, well, let's try it. So I'm going to double click here. I'm creating a new NPC transition out finished. I'm going to add it to the audio controller. No, I'm going to add it to character, right? Which doesn't exist because it's not a that's the event controller there, I think. Can I just add it to any character? See here, I've added it to kind of where I want it, kind of. Check behavior, blah, 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 move, right? So, make decision if player should greet. So this now automatically gets called, right? I'm hoping this works on every object rather than just Bob. So it'll play the NPC transition audio, in or out. But if it's out, no, in, bollocks. I don't care about out, I care about in. Because in means the character will be there. Then again, this doesn't work if you move in, right? No, it's fine. Well, that'll be a separate thing for if the player moves. So, so we go back to audio controller, create another transition, connect to the character again, move this up. Paste it here. Super. Right, now here we can check to see if there's something we need to do. So here we're going to decide. So we're going to have a play. Just do it here anyway, right? See transition finished. Okay, so triggered when an NPC arrives at your location. So the first question is, has the let me just work this through in my head. So Graham arrives, the kitty cat. Has Graham said anything before? We want to trigger first time. And then we'll make it like a sort of random trigger later on. So that's line 182.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, not bad. How's yourself?
You stream bombing.
You know it.
Oh, you're in stream still.
Hey, Shaun. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
See,
Just,
I was like,
you weren't in the
he's gonna still be streaming. We should have checked.
no, it's cool.
Oh.
That's awesome. That's the whole point of this Discord channel is you can just dive in and join in anytime.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, good. We were just actually talking about the scope of the project, and we wanted to actually just come in and chat to you a little bit about it. But you're streaming.
By all means. You don't want to do it on stream. I think it's fine. Chat to me about the scope of the project on stream. By all means. It's a transparent. It's a transparent project.
I thought you said, do you want me to unstream? I was like, no, don't stop what you're doing. But yeah, we can talk about it on stream if you want.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, ask away. Just give me 2 minutes just to finish this off, because otherwise I'll forget what I'm doing, and I'm just almost there. So I'm just going to have a variable here called has greeted player. That means first time they've greeted the player. If they've not greeted the player before, They will always have at least try and say hello if they've got the ability to say hello. So our cat will. So if not has greeted player, then we want to greet the player. So we're going to literally play the audio. Have we got an NPC audio controller yet? Let's have a look. Player, narrator, sound effects, transition audio. No, we don't have any sort of sound effect. We've got the transition audio, but okay. One bit Godot was telling me that it would be a lot easier just to create instances of audio stream rather than creating dedicated audio streams. But the good thing about creating dedicated channels is that we can decide how it's always going to sound by connecting to an audio bus. So we're going to create an NPC audio stream player here, 2D. These are all 2D, right? Nope, they're not. Okay. Audio stream player. We're going to call it NPC. This is going to be a bit of a problem as well because there should only ever be one NPC talking through the NPC stream at once. I have to look out for that. NPC bus needs connecting in the audio. So I'm going to add a whole brand new bus. And we'll call that NPC. And we're going to connect that straight up to the... we're going to connect that to the spatializer because the NPC is in the space. So we want it to sound like they're in the space. Right, super duper. So now we just need to go back to the script, hook up to the to that particular audio bus and play the sound. So we've got play effects. Where's that? Play location, background audio, fade in, fade out, change background audio, cue narration, play effects. It's going to be exactly the same as play effects, except it's going to be play NPC audio. What sound will load? It'll always be where's it going to be? It depends on the sound that's being loaded. So in our case, got character name, and then the name of the file. So that's fine. So it'll always be in audio, character, then plus name. Wait, are we in the audio controller here? So that's not going to make any sense. We're going to have to pass in the name of the character here. A character name. Character object name. It's got to be exactly the same as the folder. Pass that in there. Plus a backslash. And then the sound we want to load. So play NPC audio, blah, 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 blah. And the only other thing we've got to do is make sure that when we stream it, it's not sound effects, it is NPC. NPC. Cool. There we go. So we've now got a function for playing our audio. We've got a trigger for generating when it should be. And now all we need to do is queue it up. So if not has greeted player. Otherwise, we want to create random chance of a sound playing. Less is more. So maybe there'll be like a 20% or 10% chance that the character will greet you again during this play of the game or this level or whatever. And we want to also generate a random chance of playing a particular sample in the set. Right. Cool. That's part of audio controller. Get rid of the errors. Sound to load. We don't know yet. We're going to come back to that. So get from, I'm just putting notes in because I'm going to fix this. I'm going to switch to chatting mode. So get sound to load from character script object. And we know what the character object name is just name. Cool. To do. And then I'll just go into my doc here. And say current action. Oops. Oh man. Finish player, NPC greet function in character dot gd line am I on? 180. Sorry guys, done. Finished.
Hey.
Happy days. Oh man, I should get Steph. You should come on Discord as well, because it'll be probably a relevant conversation. Because you know what? At this point, there's so much going on here, guys. I'm just trying to. So I had a big. I don't know if you watched the rest of the stream, but Steph and I had a conversation at lunchtime about trying not to create something too big, too
Right.
quick.
Okay. Right.
And then
okay.
Steph had a thing and came back with something even bigger. Is that right, Steph? I don't know if it's even bigger, but it's certainly more dynamic in terms
Right.
of the potential of the way the game would work.
Right. Okay.
It's like a time travel game, essentially.
Okay.
But anyway, what were your questions? Ask me. What's happening?
I just what the story was after the tutorial, because my first impression was like an adventure game, and then I found out you were making combat.
Mhm.
I thought, oh, there's fighting in it.
Potentially.
I didn't know what was.
Yeah. Okay. So there's two elements to this, right? There's us creating an engine, and so Ender is playing with working and developing the engine out in different ways, interesting ways,
Right.
like adding combat. And then there's story and puzzle, which is what I'm focused on with Steph. So at the moment, whilst we do want to carry on writing this main story, we're going to kind of like create a little self-contained puzzle, first of all, using this time travel idea. So it's going to be like comedy sci-fi.
Okay.
Ha more
I
complex,
see Steph's
but also
written. I'm on
simpler.
Discord, but I think I'm in the wrong one.
Who said that?
SG Mark.
She says she's on Discord, but she's in the wrong one. Where did she say that?
In Airlock software.
What do you mean in Airlock software? Oh, in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you'd be in the wrong one. You have to double click on double-click on general, yeah.
You don't have to double click.
Or you
Yeah,
can
just
single
if you
click.
click on as long as it's the
Clear your
voice
mind.
channel, yeah.
So you've got text channels and voice channels, and you can click on the voice channel.
So what you're saying is you're making a combat thing to go in the engine, that sort of thing, but not necessarily in the game.
Well, it could well be in that game.
It could be,
Yeah, I don't know.
but either way, you want it to be in the sort of little engine type thing you're making.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I get you.
There we go. Yeah, I was thinking about it because, like, as an audio adventure, it's still an adventure game. So having some sort of RPG aspects and combat aspects, and we're going to have an inventory and items. So why not allow that? Why not create more of a hybrid?
Well, it depends if you're putting it in just for the sake of it, or if it's gonna be like if it's gonna feel like it makes sense and it's fun to do.
Yeah, it's got to be fun. Yeah, otherwise, like
there's not
pointless.
really much of a point. Yeah.
So it depends on the story, I guess, or the scope.
Yeah. So if you scroll up on the screen, it was just looking at like loads of different like combat systems and things like that. Hey, there you are. How's it going? Hello. Can you hear us?
Technical difficulties. Oh, there.
I can hear you, but there's a lot of lag.
Oh, really? You're probably getting lag from the stream. So
Oh, that'll be it, yeah.
turn the stream audio off.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna go off voice.
It is. That's exactly what it is. It's like Uhoh Streets of Rage.
Oh,
Muted.
you've muted the wrong one. You've muted Discord instead of the stream.
Perhaps it was intentional. We'll never know.
It was
There we go.
intentional.
It
All
was
right, okay,
intentional.
cool.
That's all right then.
All right, okay. I'll just bring the Discord up. Chat. Oh, right, okay. Rainbow Six Siege. Oh, putting the computer to great use. We've just created the most amazing PC in the world, and now you're playing Rainbow Six Siege.
That's
Damn.
Did you?
It is good.
Did you just build a PC?
Yeah,
It's exciting.
It's a nice looking game.
Oh, it's on the PS4. What? Oh, that's good though. You've got the PC. That's the way to do it.
Maybe Discord's not pushing it to its limits though.
Open as many Discords as possible.
Oh, nice. Yeah, totally. Me too. My God. So, right, just to be clear about this, guys, is that I'm creating an engine here that we can use to develop games. 1-Bit Godot, for example, is also creating an engine that can be used to develop adventure games. And so we've been learning a lot. Well, I don't know if he's been learning anything off me, but I've been learning a lot off him on how to do that. He's going for more sort of classical adventure systems. I'm trying to do something a bit completely, I don't know whether it's going to work or not, but like audio based. So we're building the engine. Steph is like firing like, I want to be able to do this, I'd like to be able to do that, based on sort of ideas forming through story and concept. And I'm seeing how we can compromise and make that work within the game. And that's where we're at. So we can create any game we want. Like we could have multiple games being developed at the same time, easy peasy. Because the way it's built up is there is 2 portions to it. There's the underlying code and how it all works, which is I'm working on here, and then on the left side here, if you're looking at the screen, you've got this particular game. So this particular game is built up of locations, exits, objects, and so on.
We'll find out specifically what you're pointing the cursor at in 30 seconds.
Right, cool. So you can have characters, you can have objects, you can have exits and locations, and so on. Then you add your audio, and you script it up. So the game engine works independently of that to some degree. So the potential is we can create like loads of different games at once. So at the moment, what we've created here was just kind of like a test. This is literally a test. It was loosely based on the very, very starting point of the Jove, the Adventures of Jove. But so it doesn't matter too much at the moment because I don't think we're quite ready to sit down and go, right, let's start blasting story in there. But also, I don't want to go too far without adding story in. I want to have stuff in there and actually be able to play around with it and see whether it works. So there needs to be some sort of test game that we can play around with.
Right, okay.
Because I'm reading Blood, Sweat, and Pixels right now. I don't know if you've heard of it. It covers 10 different video game developments. So turbulent, a lot of development hell stories, and generally it's you start with what kind of game you want to make first, and then add the story.
Yeah. Oh, is that what he says?
Hmm?
You decide what kind of game you want to make first, and then you add story to it.
Yeah, that's generally, I think, like the best way to do it, because it needs to feel nice to play. And then you make a prototype of that, and then you implement the narratives.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's kind of what we're doing. Because I mean, if you look at how this game works at the moment, I mean, you're just wandering around, randomly turning on TVs and stuff. We're creating like we're creating a sandbox, essentially at the moment.
Yeah.
So I still think it would be awesome to have some kind of combat, even if we implement combat into this and it's just comedy combat.
Like Monkey Island.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I was also thinking about GUI. I don't know if you watched that episode.
Of what? Sorry?
GUI.
Graphics user interface.
Oh, right.
GUI. And I don't know if Callum, have you knocked anything up in 3D?
Not quite yet. No. I actually wanted to have another chat to you about that to see if the scope had changed at all. But
I mean, at the end of the day, we can make any number of interfaces and hook it up to the system, right? We've got to have like so at 1-bit Godot has just done it, right? He's created a graphical interface so that a location is an image on the screen, an exit is an object on the screen that you can click and interact with, and an object is an item on the screen that can have different states which change the graphic and so on. So he's going full on visual, which I've been like not keen to do unless someone's really going to, take to creating hundreds, if not thousands, of graphics. I want something that's more, what's the word I used? Procedural.
Yes.
So I was thinking of something a bit like, God, sometimes I wish I had Photoshop. Let's see. I say that so much.
Sometimes I wish that I was always on the same page as you, because I'd have Photoshop and I wish I could mock something up for you, but yeah.
Well, like I say, if you come up with a great idea that's going to work, then brilliant, fantastic. But you just got to be aware of the nature of creating hundreds of thousands of assets.
Yeah. Well, I mean, based on our last conversation, we settled on having certain presets with certain locations where you could put certain objects within these presets
Prefabs.
for locations and stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, we could certainly do something like that, and by the looks of things, it wouldn't be that hard. It'd be fairly straightforward. So the latest idea I had was creating, depending on the world you're in, right? Let's just say like either, let's say you've got a sci-fi world, so you have a PDA, right?
Yeah.
In which you have a display on one side and other information on the other side. So you've got landscape PDA in front of you. Or let's say it's a little bit more old school and you've got a book in front of you, right? Doesn't matter what it is. It's a medium that's in front of you. And because what we're trying to do is we're looking for this, I'm looking for finding this medium between the text adventure, and the text adventure gave you a lot more flexibility in what you could do in terms of narrative and text, and the graphical adventure restricted what you could do in terms of narrative and text, but made it more dynamic. So I'm trying to find this middle ground between the two with audio. And so what I thought was perhaps it would be a bit like, so let's take the book concept I'm trying to draw a book here and failing. Oh, it's not just a pen. I just need a pen. Where's a pen? Brush.
It looks like.
There we go. There's a brush. Here we go. Right. So,
Yeah.
so here's our book. Oh man, it's such a bad book. Here's our book. Right. Ta-da! Oh man, that's not too bad a book, right? It's quite a thick book as well.
The anticipation's killing me. I cannot wait to see this book.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, right? Or not. And let's say that we have our narrative. So you arrive at the lift. There is a cat called Graham here, and 2 buttons that can take you up or down, something like this, right? And what we do is we connect our objects to text within our narrative first of all, right? So
the book finally appeared.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
So
we're really far behind.
that's all right. It'll catch up. So basically, you get text that you can interact with, rather than just you having to go in there and say, "Pick up sword, press button up," or whatever. You can interact with the narrative by clicking on it first of all. Secondly, so let's say there is a note on the floor. Graham, is this at you?
I don't suppose you'd be able to share your screen.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, sure. Is it really far behind?
Well, yeah. It's like 30 seconds later, you're like, right, okay, what was he talking about 30 seconds later?
Yeah, it's all this skipped frames. I think that's the problem. Here we go. Screen sharing.
Oh, come on,
Crimes
Steph.
against
It's not-
Photoshop.
It's
Steph.
not that bad.
That's cruel. Steph's being mean. It's true though. Right. So you see that?
Yes.
Okay,
See
so
that.
on one hand, there's this text, but of course, like you could click on Graham here and then go kick, or click on Graham and stroke, or click on Graham and talk, or click on Graham and fight, or whatever, right? You could have options here. So if you want the user to have something a bit, you could have do you want tos, you could have conversation, right? It becomes a place of dialogue, of interaction, anything that takes place you can have here. And you can represent it with voice as well. You can read it out if you want. But this becomes like this is your GUI. This is how you interact with the world. You're interacting with the actual text of the world. And it shows you where you can interact. So if I click the down button, it's going to be press. If I click on Graham, I'm going to be fight. There's a note on the floor. So when we're going to do the note, I could read it, pick it up. I don't know. We can decide what the verbs are based on the objects in the location. So it's kind of like, first of all, so that's procedural, right? We decide what the text is going to be, and all this stuff is automatically hooked up. You decide what verbs do what, and decide how things happen. What happens when you do these things? It's kind of a little bit magical, and it's all driven by the audio. So everything that happens, everything you interact with, you get this audio. Then on the other side of the page, over here, we have the option of let me get my pen out and then press you with like a picture of someone. Maybe we've got an inventory here. Maybe we've got, think RPG potentially. You might have stats. You might have, you could have anything you want. You could have all the characters that are in this given location. Here's the cat. You could have anything you like, essentially. So this becomes like this sort of dynamic area. In fact, the whole book is a dynamic area. So if you want to change the interface, let's say you got to a puzzle and you want to have like some sort of interactive puzzle here, turn the page and suddenly you've got this puzzle. Or maybe when you change location, you flip the page and the new script starts, and you can see where you are on the left here with an image. So if we want to have imagery, if we want to have pictures of people, they can work hand in hand. Let's say you make it futuristic now, the book becomes a PDA, but the same concept applies. Then if you want to add atmosphere and other elements to it, we've got the background here. So we could have this PDA or this book floating. So you're in space, suddenly the background's like black. I don't even know how to make my background black. There we go. Is that it? Yeah, suddenly you're in space, right? And so this particular chapter that you're talking about and the things you're interacting with are kind of represented by the fact that you're in space here, and the book is floating in space, and then you're out in a field, and now you get like blue sky in the background and some green, and it's like kind of like depth of field style background image. So the book is it's like think 3D environment behind the book. That's what I'm thinking.
I just had a
really
thought.
simple. Go on.
See, you're using Photoshop right now, and software like Photoshop or like Adobe Premiere lets you, like some of them have multiple windows in the one window, and they let you resize to your preference. So this is just like a little idea, but in this game, say it were sci-fi, maybe it could be presented like that, where you have these different, module for text, module for inventory, for what you're looking at and things like that, and it lets the player resize and arrange it how they want.
Yeah, could do.
If we're going like the idea where he's blind and had the little PDA thing to help him see, or the implant or whatever, and you could use that all to.
I think that the main thing of what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to steer away from GUI being defined by the story.
Okay.
So that the GUI can be more flexibly adapted to by whoever's creating the adventure game to fit the story.
Yeah.
All right, so we're talking about the engine more than the game just now.
Yeah, so it's the same user interface rather than how it looks.
So the technology that I'm thinking of here with Godot is the 2D viewport. So I'll just load up an example here. Let's go. Don't save. Ooh, what don't I want to save? Save it. Go for it. Okay, let's see if I can load this up for you. Import. Browse. Godot demos. I'll have to share this screen. Here we go. I'll just run this and then I'll share it. Computer thing. Okay, so I'll just share my main screen. So you can see the environment that's up here is a 3D environment.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of pillars and a screen, right? But that screen has a 2D viewport on it. So it's 2D within a 3D environment. And then if we run this, you can see we've got breakout here inside the viewport, right? So what I'm suggesting is the GUI is a viewport. The GUI is completely viewport controlled, which gives the.
I think whatever you're seeing is not showing on the.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel like I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. There you go. 2D and 3D.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, this is the world I'm in, and it'd be nice if they added camera controls in here. So, if you imagine, if we design the GUI to work in whatever viewport we care about, then the story designer can then set up the sort of 3D scene and adapt this 3D scene according to the story in any way they want. They're no longer restricted by it. In fact, they can connect the 3D to the story if they want. They can have full representation of the environments they're in. But at its heart, the game still becomes a narrative-driven GUI-driven controller through PDA, through a book, through a fucking piece of stone that you scratch the answers onto with a stick. But that's the two-dimensional aspect of it. But I mean, you could hook it up to 3D in any way you want. You know, you could zoom out when you get the fight scene and have a fight scene with your players street fighting if you're up to programming, that sort of thing. You could, when you interact with an object, you could show it in 3D space, whatever. You could do anything you wanted with it. It's up to the storyteller then. So anyway, my proposal is just that we create something that's procedural and simple and doesn't need thousands of assets, so we can focus on things like story and puzzles and essentially playability over graphical wow, first and foremost. So
cool.
But if we want to do 3D assets, we can certainly do the 3D stuff. It's just how is it going to apply it on the next story and the next story and the next story?
That's the thing, yeah.
It's very unique to a particular story itself, and it takes away from the engine being flexible. So, thoughts? What do you think, Steph?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, I mean, I think, I've sort of seen the kind of cinematic kind of ping-pong thing going on. So, I kind of get where you're coming from when it comes to the, you need to apply this to many different types of stories or whatever's going on. So, I think as long as you make engaging stories and engaging puzzles, I think you can probably overcome a lot of, the graphical challenges. People are mostly, enjoying a game for the game's sake rather than the graphics. So I think if you try and focus on that and the kind of interactivity.
Not in Callum's case. Callum plays for the graphics as well. I'm gonna kick
yeah.
I do. I wholeheartedly agree as well. But I think fundamentally you can have the most amazing graphics in the world. If you don't have a good story, no one's gonna like it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Evidence for that every single AAA game that's come out in the last year and a half, 2 years, that's basically gone down the tubes because of that. So, No, I think what we need to focus on is making a workable game, and if we can scale it to 3D, like a year down the line, a year and a half down the line, whatever comes of this, if we can scale it, I think the most important thing is if we can focus on getting the game working and getting the game enjoyable and playable at this stage. Scaling it will be another challenge if that comes to it, but there's no point trying to scale something that no one enjoys playing.
Yeah, it might be the concept's so shit, like the audio concept just doesn't work.
Exactly.
But we want to continue making the game, for example, and so we grab 1-bit Godot's engine and go, great, okay, let's create this like this, or we go, let's pull out RPG Maker and create a cutesy. RPG Maker is awesome, by the way. Have you played any RPG Maker games?
I've played a ton of RPG Maker games.
Have you ever made an RPG Maker game?
No, I've not ever tried to delve into that.
Have you seen it, Steph?
No, not aware of.
Because I'm not an artist, and I've always wanted to try and make games, but I don't want to make stuff using like pre-made
assets,
graphics and stuff.
Totally agree with you. I hate it as well. I've attempted to make a few games using pre-made assets, and I always hate it. I'm always like, what's that? It's just like nothing feels right. Everything's just like, even if I made something with the crappiest graphics in the world, the fact that you created it from scratch with your crap graphics gives it a uniqueness. I was saying this in another stream. It's like when I used to write music and people would come along and say, no, just use this loop music maker. And it's like, fuck, why would you want to do that? Like looping stuff up and just layering loops. Like the difference between, just ask someone to take that next step and try sequencing or like learning to play an instrument, and they'll just realize it just opens up this whole new world of creativity when it comes to making music. And it's the same, I think, with games as well. Pre-made stuff, it's like...
they're Russian.
It's like everyone back in the day making jams on their Sony Ericsson. thinking they were the
That was
next
creative.
Skrillex.
Here's RPG Maker.
I'm just trying to see. I
It's
played To the
basically like
Moon.
little
but-
Zelda clones, essentially, isn't it?
Undertale was made on RPG Maker.
What?
See, I
wasn't-
thought it was.
it?
Pretty sure it was.
I'm
Really?
It was made using some sort of framework like that, but I'm not sure if it was specifically RPG Maker.
Nah, I don't think it was. He
Uh,
might have prototyped it using it, or he's added stuff on. Game Maker Studio.
that's the
Oh,
one.
Game
Yeah.
Maker.
Yeah, which is actually, to be honest, Game Maker Studio is like I don't want to like say blasphemy here, but it's a lot like Godot in that it's a fully formed game development engine. I think it's made, isn't it focused on 2D rather than any 3D?
I think so. That sounds about right, to be honest. I don't think I've seen any 3D Game Maker Studio games.
Yeah, that's totally 2D. Yeah. But I mean, Game Maker Studio is great, but it's still, it's just
To the Moon.
He's on your left.
Yeah, To the Moon for RPG Maker.
Yeah.
That's the only one that I recognize.
To the Moon rings a bell.
And then there's a bunch of the Japanese horror games like Mad Father and
Left corner.
Witches or whatever. Yeah.
The guy got him anyway.
There's thousands, isn't there?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
But it's not the type of thing that you would use to make, any sort of bleeding edge interactivity or anything. You wouldn't be able to use it for this project per se.
Oh, you could definitely make like what Steph and I have originally been talking about with it, because it's all the same sort of thing, right?
Audio based.
Yeah,
maybe.
it can be audio based. It's got dialogue. It's got a really strong dialogue development in it. Cutscenes, all that sort of thing. It's just obviously now you've got to create thousands of tiles and assets, and oh my god, it's like a whole new, a massive amount of work to do all that. But that's a different project altogether, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pretty cool
absolutely.
though. I'm gonna have to read this. Is it good? Did you like it? Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
cool.
really. I'm not finished it yet. It's been really interesting. It
Read a lot
covers Stardew
development.
Valley's a good chapter.
Oh, Stardew Valley. I love Stardew Valley, I have to say.
Development of Stardew Valley.
I would never have played Stardew Valley had my little nephew come around, and we spent like 2 weeks at Christmas just playing pretty much Stardew Valley every night. I was his helper. It's a little bit frustrating. But,
Yeah, no, my girlfriend played hundreds of hours of it. I didn't think anyone could stay interested in a game for as long as she's been interested in Stardew Valley.
you played it as well, Callum, right?
I did.
Didn't you get married in it?
I played it for no, I didn't end up. I ended up not being able to form enough of a relationship with any of the characters because I went off of it too soon.
Oh dear.
I've never been
Yeah.
able to stay on it for too long, but I've always been interested in doing a multiplayer thing with someone.
Yeah, I see. I'm much more of a Terraria or Minecraft kind of guy. Like you can just do whatever you want. You're not just restricted to this set cycle with certain things that you can
You're
do.
talking about a completely different genre of game.
No, yeah,
That's all
you're right.
No, we
you're
are
right.
we are talking about different genres for sure.
Well, I mean, when you compare Minecraft and Terraria to Stardew Valley.
Right, but
No, I think
like,
he's just talking about developing relationships. Full stop, right?
no,
The villagers are all very sweet.
I think I just mean like
It definitely sounds better though.
in,
There's no question.
you go into Stardew Valley and you can create your own farm and stuff, and there's a whole NPC side of things that's completely missing from Terraria and Minecraft and stuff like that. So it's a bad example, but when the option of creating stuff is part of the game, then I'm immediately comparing it to other stuff, other like sandbox, which can do a lot more. And I don't know,
I don't think they're comparable.
they're probably not. It's probably just a really bad example, to be honest. But that's just where my mind goes.
Okay.
Can we talk about this?
Yeah.
A brief history of time travel.
Yeah.
So, like, let me try and summarize this. Steph, tell me if I'm doing a really crap job. But this guy, right? He is been he is
story. You noticed that?
what's the word? It's like when a demon owns you. Is
He's been
inside you.
possessed.
Possessed, right? Yeah, it's been possessed by time, right?
Yeah. Time essentially got bored, and this is all in my book, Brief History of Time Travel. Time essentially got bored of,
Sounds very Terry Pratchett.
Yeah, it is a lot like Terry Pratchett inspired. So, yeah, he got bored. He went and found the most boring man alive, Mara Sandoval, and tried to possess him. But due to complications that happened in the book, I don't want to give too much away of the book's plot, but there was lots of adventures and lots of time traveling, and basically they realised that they can't actually live a quiet life together, and they both hate each other, but they're now absolutely intertwined with each other. So, yeah, that's the kind of setting for the game. Is that these two characters, time exists inside Maro's mind essentially, so no one else can see him, no one else can hear him. Maro can't even see him; it's just in his head. This voice, this sort of always sort of critical voice in his head.
So, time. Sorry, not time. Space. Space is the other
Vala.
character. Yeah, Vala.
Okay.
So that's his girlfriend. That's time's. Sorry, that's the love interest.
Yes, it's love interest and
irritating love interest.
Yeah, she's irritating.
Sorry, between who? Between time or between Maro?
Both, because they're so intertwined. She turned up, and so basically Spaces embodies this girl called Vala, who, because at the moment that Space entered her body, every time that there's a kind of different, almost if you think of the many worlds theorem, every time that there's something that happens that kind of creates a new universe, a Vala is created because it's a new space.
Right.
Yeah.
So who's drawn to whom? That time is drawn to space, but he's irritated by her.
Complicated history. It's one of those
Right.
love-hate relationships
Cool.
where they need each other, and but they can't be together because they're just so irritating towards each other.
So I think what you need to do is we need to look at this rather than looking at the story. We need to look at the concept, the gameplay concept.
Exactly. That's why I kind of framed it in that way, because I've got a book with all the characters and everything. So you just need to read the book for the setup and the setting and stuff. So it's more. I tried to tailor the idea more around what you could do with it and how you could, enjoy the game as as puzzle adventure and going through different time zones rather than the setting itself. The setting is
I like the thought that you could say like, right, are you typing out a time code? Like, I'm going to this date at this time. And then you do something there and then you go, I fucked it up. And so you go back like a minute before and then you're there with your player doing that and you go back a minute again and now you're back doing that with both the players and so on. And so you're creating this sort of timeline that you're interacting with. Although the potential for breaking stuff, breaking the game would be massive, I think. But it could be really interesting dynamic that you can be there with yourself and interact with yourself in some way. Sounds complex though. What I was saying earlier though, Steph, is that you probably want to have some sort of like, so if you're traveling between time zones, and let's say these time zones are like a few decades apart and things change quite a lot, then you'd want to have you'd need to define those locations as completely different game. Let's call them maps, right?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, if you kind of think about it, is if you've got location A and that's set in like 1990, and you've got location B, which is identical to location A, that's set in 2000, for instance, 10 years later, it is essentially every single area you are, it's just like another location. You just have upgrade the time, you have to upgrade, if there's any graphics associated with it and any NPC movement. So it's more about locations, and then you set a time afterwards or something.
Okay, it's more about locations and less about you being in a particular time within that location.
Yeah.
So you just travel to the given year. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Like.
No. What I'm saying is, so you can treat it as a kind of hierarchy. What's more important than the location or the time?
Mm-hmm.
So if you move time, you can treat that time movement as a location as well, because although you're not moving physically, you are moving in time. So your living room A can become living room B, which is the alternative kind of living room, which is upgraded. So to the game code, you are moving, but to the player, you are not.
No, I get that. So the question becomes, where is the divide between 1910 and 2000 that location A and B changes? And do you let them, or do you just always have a same starting point?
Oh man, that's bad.
So
is January 1st, whatever.
So your initial starting time at any given location, that's predestined by what you've chosen for the last one.
So is it always the same then? Is it?
Your starting time at each new location is fixed by the programming, and then any subsequent change in time travel, if you want to go backwards or forwards in time, and the entity time that's inside you can advise you of the best best time periods in which to travel to. So he said, "Oh, maybe 2070 is a bit dodge. I wouldn't go for it." So they're therefore kind of locked out.
Right. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, because time is such a kind of, he's such an irritating character. He thinks he knows everything. He knows every possible combination of alternate universes and alternate timelines and everything. He knows everything. So he can say he can also be confused as well. So he can be like, "Oh yeah, I think this is the timeline in which the asteroid hits in about 4 seconds," and then you wait 4 seconds. It's like, "Oh no, wrong one, sorry."
Mm-hmm.
So you can play around with the kind of comedy of the character as well, to say I hate 1970, I hate the whole decade, I'm not going anywhere near it. You can go in 1969, you can go in 1980, nothing in between. I hate it. So you can kind of play around with that to kind of get out of basically get out of being able to go to any time zone possible.
The tricky thing, I think, with this at the moment is that, so what we're talking about is 3 living, breathing locations in code. So now we've got NPCs moving around, doing things, behavior, talking, interacting, objects, puzzles, and so on.
But in some locations, like for instance, if you are trying to get into like a base or a room or a secured room or something, and you've got some guards patrolling around, that time travel period might now be limited to maybe 7 days. So you can go on around that 7 days at any point in those 7 days and figure out what their actions are for guarding the place and how to get in. But you no longer have the year, as you may have done in the previous location. You've now got 7 days to get into this place.
I think I see what you mean. That sounds even more complex from a coding perspective.
Is it? I thought it was going to be easier for you.
I think it's incredibly complicated.
It sounds like I would be completely at a loss for trying to fit that into the concept of having a point and click sort of UI. I don't know.
I think you can still do that, but I think because it might be point and click UI, but it's real time and live, right? So we've already added a time perspective to it. We now have NPC schedules, movement.
Yeah. If you're going to take 1 week as an example, right, 7 days, so each NPC, they'll be working there the same amount of hours, the same amount of times. It'll just be schedules, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you were going to use time, and this is just purely off the top of my head, if you're going to use time as a way of getting around, circumventing the guards or whatever, you might then go, I'm going to go to Monday. And I know that on Monday, Gary and George are the guards, right? And I know that, from going into the guard room, I know that Gary's bought a lottery ticket, but it's blank. He's not done any numbers on it, right? So I'm going to go into the future on Saturday when the lottery numbers are being read, and I'm going to fill in the lottery ticket for Gary, and I'm going to take it back and put it on his desk on Tuesday or on Friday, so he's definitely got it. And then that way you can kind of dip in and out. The schedules remain the same, but your interactions on a given day might disrupt that schedule. So if you want to infiltrate the base on a Friday, or the lotteries on the Saturday, you'll infiltrate it on the Sunday when he's definitely gone, when he's definitely left work.
Yeah, so you've got two examples there. One is over a given location, and the other is over a given a shorter time period. The time periods facilitate schedules, and that sort of localized puzzles, whereas time zones give you whole new sort of perspectives, maybe different NPCs, different changes to the way the locations. Yeah, I like that. I think that's cool. I think it's definitely possible.
I can't quite remember the definition. I wrote about it in the book, but the time zone is actually that's defining time zone might be a year or it might be a decade, and that everything within that is defined as the time zone rather than 1 minute past 11 o'clock kind of. That's not time zone. That's just an instance. So when it comes, it's easier if you read the book, which is I think it's about 300 pages. Yeah, 294.
Yeah.
So you really have to set up these puzzles quite specifically, but they also need to be open enough that, for example, if we take the lottery ticket idea example, then there's got to be a shop in which you could buy a lottery ticket, for example. Yeah. And for a while, you wonder why you would possibly want to go in there and buy a lottery ticket. And every time you buy a lottery ticket, I don't know, maybe you lose. Unless you go to the future and then you win, you're like, there's more money from my bank account. I don't know. But you can do it, and it just adds more and more money, but you don't know why you're doing it until you realize, why don't I try this? And then you buy that lottery ticket, you go back, you put it on the desk because you're trying to solve this other problem, and you realize, it's quite an obscure solution, right? Yeah. I mean, it's not easily come by, but once you start thinking down that road, you can hint about it as well, right?
Yeah, you can hint about it. So, for instance, if it's left on Gary's desk, it's a lottery ticket.
Yeah, or you could narrative, right? He could be like, "God, if I won the lottery."
If I won the lottery, I would buy a boat. I'd leave my wife. I'd quit in an instant. And then you might hear on the radio whatever time zone's in. Let's say it's like 1950 or whatever. I have no idea when. But if you have it on the radio, and it's going to be a rollover. There's going to be like $260 million on the lottery this Saturday. That's a hint, right? So that would give you maybe you can make him win.
From a technical perspective, the way I'd solve this, right? This would be a bit weird. I would imagine you've got 3 identical houses, right, in a row. Mm-hmm. And in one house, I go in there and I scratch all the paperwork and make it look old. And then the last house, I make it look all pristine and new. And so now I've got these 3 houses that are in my time, right? This is the way I'd code it. So I'd have these 3 houses. Then I'd put the NPCs that I want in those houses. They could never leave the house. They're in their map. They can go into these. They can go around these areas, but they're not allowed to interact with each other's houses. It's like 3 universes lined up next to one another. So your idea of time travel now is just teleporting from one house to the other, and you're staying in the same location, right? Your idea of time on a localized level, like from day 1 to the end of the week, is just a certain period of time that gets rewound and fast forwarded, and it's the same regardless of which house you're in. So you could forward wind to the end of the week. Now you're at the end of the week at all 3 houses, but you can see that the impact on the schedule the players had. So rather than having like 3 maps where I've got to load up this map and then load up the state of everything and then check, I have to do it like it's like just one level.
Yeah.
But I think that could work. That's a simpler way of like solving the problem. So yeah, I think there's a way of doing it. I wouldn't say it's like the easiest way of writing a game, but I think it adds like a whole new dynamic. So it's really interesting. I think like one of the most popular games I was saying on the stream was Day of the Tentacle, which is totally same sort of
Exactly
principles,
what I was
right?
thinking about.
Yeah, no one's done it since. Not very well, at least, anyway. Oh, also, Delphine Games, Time Traveler, was it called? Man, that was like one of the first point-and-click games ever to be made. Did you ever play it?
Time travel.
Man, it was so cool. Future Wars, that was it. It was awesome. It was like one of these games where you had like this, like it was pixel perfect. So to like press a button, you had to know the exact pixel where that button was, and so I would like spend hours just moving my mouse around the screen like this, just looking for like, what have I missed? Looking for that little button, and then eventually it comes up and says flag. You're like, what the fuck's the flag? And it actually turns out to be like a flag on a map. But there was something magic about it in that you were traveling around time and stuff. But there's no interaction with anything really, other than like just left clicking and seeing what you could do. It was really, really simple. It would definitely not. It wouldn't. I think it would do too well nowadays. Let's put it that way. It would be a game of pure frustration nowadays. Anyway, cool. Look, guys, it's 11:10, and I only wanted to do till 10 o'clock. So, but it's been a really good stream, though, guys. Really great to have you all on here and talk about it.
Discussion.
And it helps like get my head around what approach to take. So I'm like, other than like the philosophy of making it, as asset shallow as possible and as procedural as possible. Like honestly, whatever. I'm happy to do anything and make it work. So, yeah, we'll what I'll do is I'll add a new item to the list here: time travel, and we'll call it decades and days, for example.
Yeah.
Decades being new map. Days being change in schedule. What you could do is we could limit the. Let's say, for example, that take one of those movies where something's going to happen. It's like Groundhog Day, or what's that one with Tom Cruise where he always dies in that fight?
Live, die, repeat.
What's it called?
Live, die, repeat.
Yeah, is that what it's called? The one with the big... He's got a big robot in a suit, and he's like shoots everyone and stuff. Yeah, science fiction.
It's the one where they're on an old World War I battlefield. I can't remember.
I think I just need to write science fiction, Tom Cruise, and then the word Groundhog Day.
Yes,
right?
Live, die, repeat.
And it will just come up. Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow.
So if you add some sort of like thing that
Live, die, repeat somewhere. I
think that was the subtitle.
It's based on a manga called All You Need Is Kill, and they changed it to Edge of Tomorrow. But then when they released it on DVD, they kind of tried to change the name again by calling it Live, Die, Repeat, by putting it in bigger letters on the DVD cases and stuff.
Yeah, so that's what it looks like. I've just put it in the general chat.
There you go. Right, nice, very clever. So, was that a good film?
Yeah.
Right, I'll have to watch it again because I think I might have fallen asleep. I definitely watched. I watched some of it, but I think I might got a dodgy copy or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'll check that out. Anyway, so if we had like some end result, Steph, like if you get to the end of the schedule, and then something happens, which takes you back. Like maybe it could be as simple as time saying, it's getting a bit late in the week. You better go back. Like, let's say there's an end to the schedule. Let's not make an infinite schedule.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want, if you're gonna have a schedule in maximum like 7 days, you're not gonna have to.
That's a lot of time, though, isn't it?
It's a lot of time because remember you can go back for a minute, complete a task, and then leave. So it gives everyone a lot of chance to do stuff. But I think at the end of the week, you'd be like, no, like I could be like, come on, like stop arcing around and get back to work. It's not like,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm totally up for having this. It sounds like a proper challenge. So we'd have to start off with a very simple premise, and maybe probably start with one premise first, whether it be schedule based or multiple locations based, and start from there and sort of grow it out. So whichever you prefer, but let's just keep it super simple as a testing point.
I would say let's try and do the sort of time travel bit first.
Okay.
Because you have worked on the
which one? The big time travel, the map based time travel, old house to new house, or do you mean like later in the week sort of time travel?
It doesn't really matter as long as you can do one, you can do the other.
No, I can't. No, that's what I'm saying. From a coding perspective, they're totally different things. Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah. Look. So okay, the skyscraper no longer being built, right? That's a whole new map.
Yeah.
But the later on in the week it's the same NPCs, the same schedules. It's just they're further down the road and things may have happened during that schedule.
Okay, we'll do that, and then do the one other thing, like it's all destroyed. Like start off very small, like here's a building with some people in it, then a nuke happens, and then they're all dead. You can still be there. So therefore, it's 2 separate maps.
That's. Wait a minute. Now that's combining the two.
No, I'm not saying you need to have like the nuclear accident happening. It's like basically there's one bit where there's a map with some people in it, and there's a map with no people in it.
Yeah. Okay. So that would be like the way I've described this is decades versus days. Yeah. So we want to go for decade travel first.
No, I because remember like. Think of like a time travel. You don't have to do one in a chronological order. If you want to do if you want to fix your books on 7 days, and then once you've got the 7 days, you're sure of that, then think, right, okay, my 2 time travel points are from, let's say your present day is 2010. That's when your 7-day schedule is, 2010, right? I want my other time travel bit to be, 1 BC.
Okay, so that's both. That's a time period, which is scheduling, and that's a location, which is massive changes in time.
Yeah. So start off with the 7 days, then go for the 1 BC to 2010.
Okay. So what would we want to do with our schedule then? I think we'd want to. So let's just break this down into subtasks here. We want to be able to fast forward schedule, right? So let's say we've got a certain number of timed events that do things. They want to be able to fast forward through that schedule, boom, and then take them to that point, so that we don't have like them teleport to that point and then all the NPCs run around really fast just to like get to that location, which we could do, by the way. That's how it'd work at the moment. We'd have to change.
It doesn't have to be that way. So
no, but we could. We'd have to change like the time reference, because at the moment it's running past like 1 second to second. So we'd change that to like 0.00001. Is every like millisecond an hour passes, and we get to the end of the week fairly quick. But no, so we want a fast forward schedule. So we want to say we're going to go over here, and all these events and all these schedules must happen up until this point, right? And then we need a rewind. So we've got to record all the stuff that potentially could have happened, right? So we need to actually track everything that the player did, that the NPC did. Remember, we've got an element of randomness as well in this. And restore or remove. We need to sort of kind of like bring them back to certain points as well. I like the idea. Like, what's that game, the 2D platformer where you can go forward and backwards in time? I never played it.
Braid, I think it was.
Yeah, right. So imagine an audio-based Braid, but instead of just traveling backwards and forwards like a few seconds in time, you're traveling decades or minutes. I like the idea of like like being able to fast forward time, and as you're fast forwarding time, you're hearing all the players move around and things, and all the objects are happening, and just like you could just like stop it there. Oh, that'll do. Let's go now. I'll start interacting. I don't know. You know, remember the first version of the Audio thing we made, where you could like rewind the tape recorder, and it would like go, and the audio would come in. We could do that sort of thing as well, and actually play with the audio. Anyway, right, cool. So we want to fast forward the schedule, rewind the schedule, and then we want key events within a constrained time chunk, i.e. a week. What's interesting there, though, is like a week is a long time. Like if we're making a real-time game, then a week could be a lot. And so being able to play with that week gives you all sorts of interesting scope as to what could happen in the game, right?
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
And without it being visual, you need to sort of demonstrate all this in an audio way. I don't know how that's done, but yeah. Anyway, right, we'll leave it at that. I shall think on this more. Cool. All right, guys. Well, look, thank you very much for coming in and spending your Thursday afternoon with me. Evening.
No problem.
Very welcome.
And have a good one. Maybe catch you at the weekend or Friday night. Oh, Games for Inspiration. Outer Wilds. Blade Runner.
Cool.
Dark Seed. Sexy Brutal. Invisible Hours. Oh, I'll have a look. Right, I better go, though. I'm going to collapse. Right, guys.
Right.
Thanks
Take
again.
it easy.
You too.
Okay.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And I am going to call that a day. Hope you enjoyed the stream, and we'll be back maybe for the last one of the week tomorrow at 9 p.m. So thanks for tuning in, and take care. Have a good night.